Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. Happy Memorial Day, everyone.
Oh, we're starting. Okay.
This is your Memorial Day episode. Whoa.
Edit that.
Violence is being done to the microphone. Oh, that just scratched it, probably.
Well, welcome everybody.
Welcome to the podcast. The Bridge of Two podcast.
Welcome.
This is the podcast where we bridge the sci-fi and fantasy realms we love into a nerdcast of epic proportion.
I haven't heard that in a while.
I know.
Plays at the beginning of every episode, though, right?
What's that?
Doesn't that play at the beginning of every episode? It's during the
No, it's just like, welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. That's all.
So a lot of people haven't heard that in a while.
That's right. So if you're tuning in this is the first episode, then this is you haven't missed it because you heard it.
That's it. That's all it is. I don't know why you're tuning in your first episode being on the Dawn Treader movie, but
Yeah. Maybe you love the Dawn Treader movie.
and you're like, I gotta listen to this.
You search the tags of Buzzsprout. Not Bus Sprout. I don't know what that would be. It sounds like a term for like
It's a plant that grows buses. It's how buses are made. You didn't know that?
Buzzsprout. I was thinking it was like some kind of like sci-fi drug or something. Like,
Ooh, we should copyright. No one steal that. We're copyrighting that.
like in the dystopian, like grunge future, they're sprouting stuff on buses. I don't know.
Bus sprout.
Anyway,
You can just go generic like Star Wars and call it Spice.
right. Totally rip it out of Dune.
Yup.
Well,
Desert planets.
no.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that here on this podcast.
Not on this podcast.
In this podcast, we're positive.
Actually, the second movie's coming out this year.
I know. Part two. Yeah. It is
the
a movie.
The second movie.
Right.
Did you ever read the book? Did you ever finish it?
No, I don't think I started it.
It's actually pretty good. It's
I heard
it's
it
it's
is.
slow to begin with, but it's a little bit of a trip. It's like your generic older sci-fi. It's a bit of a trip, but
Well, I heard the later books are way more of a trip.
I've heard that too, so I haven't read them.
Okay. I heard I heard you have to either read just the first two or all of them.
Yeah.
Because like you can't just stop like as far as like getting the where it's going or whatever, but
I feel like the first book had a complete ending. Like I don't feel a need to like have to go read more to get more story.
right.
Or at least I haven't yet. So I think Daniel Green has talked highly of the other books, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Yeah, he was I've heard him talk about like how awesome it would be to see the rest of the books adapted, not just the second one.
Maybe one day I'll read through more of them.
Because how wild they are, but yeah, I have the audiobook, so I know that I'll read it at some point. But
I did do the audiobook. I started with the audiobook. And then I think it was one of those around that time was when I was still struggling with audiobooks.
oh yeah,
And like not being able to focus, I just read it. Got it on the Kindle for or I think it was on Kindle Unlimited.
okay.
And I liked it so much I actually got the limited edition one, with the blue pages.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Got that for Christmas.
That's a nice.
That was like a White Santa or a Secret Santa Christmas present. White Santa. White Santa in our household.
There's different Santas. Like you got it from White Santa.
Uh-huh.
It's just like anyway.
There's a couple jokes in there. I'm not gonna
There's
make.
quite a few. Well,
yeah, good books though. I'm excited for the second movie.
yeah, me too, for sure. The first movie was awesome. Just I don't know, just that director respected the source material and understood it, and it just really, it's a different kind of. I mean, there's stuff that reminds you of other things, since obviously it's such an inspiration for a lot of other sci-fi, and yet it still feels very distinct and very unique to what it's doing. Which, kind of may lend itself to our later discussion a little bit, but about the Narnia films, specifically the third one. But yeah. So what you been up to? It's been about a week.
But we got finished. I don't know if I finished it by the last time we did the podcast, but I finished the first book in the High Republic series, The Light of the Jedi. I don't remember if I finished that last time, but finished it. Second time reading it actually, and I really enjoyed it. I got back into the High Republic, or decided to go back to the High Republic stuff because of Jedi Survivor, which slight spoilers, but the story deals quite a bit with some people and places and lore from the High Republic era. And so playing through Jedi Survivor, I was like, I should go back and actually try and read those and see how they are. And so,
they gotcha.
They did, and it's difficult. It was really difficult to get started because I know what the first book was because it was the first book to ever come out. But then there's like the High Republic's broken into 3 different phases. Phase 1's got 3 different waves, and each wave's got like 4 different books in it. And then you have like an adult novel, you have a young adult novel, you have a middle-aged group novel, and then you have a children's picture book.
Ooh, start there.
Yeah. But then it's just like, okay, then
the characters are babies.
Then you have a bunch of comics. And so it's like trying to figure out the direct order, like chronologically the order has been kind of difficult because we're in like almost into phase 3 now, if we're not into phase 3.
Just read it all, you'll figure it out.
So at this point, yeah, I mean, I found a website that lays out the order for everything. So I've read Light of the Jedi. I did read the middle grade. I wasn't going to, but I read the first middle grade novel called something or other.
That's a good title. Really.
A Test of Courage. It's called A Test of Courage. Very much a middle grade novel. A little bit darker than I would have imagined a middle grade novel being. I mean, the book practically starts with an entire starship of thousands of people blowing up.
Ooh.
And only having 5 people that live, all like teenagers or kids.
Okay. They're the only kids on the thing?
No, they just happen to live. One of them's a Jedi Knight, the youngest Jedi Knight. This is one of those things where it's just like a little, you have to suspend your belief for she's 16 and she's the youngest person to pass her trials, and it's just like
to have ever become. Yeah, it's like, oh, main character.
Like, okay, yeah, I mean, I get it, but like, yeah, cool for her. Because then you have another. Well, this is where it kind of threw me off because at the end, she's 16, maybe 17, a Jedi Knight. She's been a Jedi Knight just past her trials, like maybe, I don't know. I think it says like 17 or 6 months ago, maybe a year. The end of the book ends with her getting a Padawan. I'm like, why would you?
As a 16-year-old?
Yeah, I'm like, why would you? And this kid's like 14 or 15. Like, is it like her? I'm like, what? Just seems like this seems very odd. But then I had to remind myself it's a middle grade novel, and it's just like, but that's canon. Like, it's mentioned. It was mentioned in The Light of the Jedi because they take place concurrently. Huh. And so it just like
it was a different time,
It just threw me off a little bit because his master died during the explosion. That's part of what made it kind of dark was like you have like part of the story is some of these characters dealing with the death of like their masters or like one kid has to deal with the death of like his father. And it's like kind of dark. And then the one kid, the young Padawan, has a moment of like falling to the dark side.
It sounds like a YA novel.
It wasn't. It definitely was very much written as a middle-aged.
You said it was short.
It was like 150, 60 pages. And just the way it was written, you could tell it was written for a younger audience. A lot of things were repeated.
Oh, yeah.
How they do for younger.
Stuff was less subtext, more like overt, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was enjoyable. I'm probably not going to read another middle grade one again. I'm just too old, and I just like the story was cool and the characters were fun, I guess. But I am on the YA novel now. And that's how I could tell.
How dark is that one?
Not as dark, actually. Believe it or not, not yet. They're all stranded right now, but like the Light of the Jedi book wasn't even as dark necessarily.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit. There's quite a bit.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't expect. It's called Light of the Jedi.
I mean, quite a bit of people die in it, but
is it Light of the Jedi because it's a light read? Lighthearted.
My goodness. Oh my goodness. But so I'm reading the YA novel now, which is Into the Dark. I think it's called Into the Dark.
Oh, that'll be darker.
I don't know. So far, it isn't. But you could definitely tell the difference between the middle grade and the YA.
Okay.
Reading or writing style. So I'll probably stick to just the YA and
Is
the
there
adult
a
novels.
love triangle?
There might be, actually, which is interesting. There are 4 Jedi. One's a Padawan.
Uh-huh.
And then there are 2 pilot / co-pilot. And then there is a character called Geode. And as far as we know right now, he's just a rock. But apparently he's an actual species in Star Wars.
What do you mean as far as we know, but the character has a name?
He has not said any words. He has not moved. But the pilot and the co-pilot act like he is a sentient being. And he is the navigator of the ship. That's where you're like, okay, this is definitely a YA novel.
I mean, I actually love that.
It's not bad. It's kind of it's funny. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is I looked up because they say his race, and so I looked it up, and like he's got a whole wiki, Star Wars wiki.
What I hope is that that race, like, there is nothing like defining about it. It's just like they look like rocks. There's, as far as you know, there's no reproduction. Like I hope that it's just basically like making rocks a race.
I know. I really hope that like he doesn't do anything important.
Yeah,
or like doesn't come out and starts like talking all of a sudden or whatever. I hope it just stays like he's just a rock. He's just a navigator. But he is actually a sentient species. He's the navigator. But like
right. But like, don't have him like transformer mode.
Yeah.
Like maximize or whatever and turn into a.
Well, so funny because I was like, and when they describe him, I'm like, this does just sound like a rock. And so I like sometimes I'll like Google like the races to see what straight up it's just a rock.
Good.
And I was just like, this is hilarious.
Good.
But anyway, I am enjoying
Protect him at all costs.
I'm enjoying it more than middle grade novel. So I've decided I'm going to stick with just the adult and the YA.
What if? Sorry.
What?
What if like at a pivotal point in the book, there's like a shootout and like someone's gonna shoot one of the pilots, and then like, not that the rock doesn't jump or anything, but like they move in such a way that the rock gets shot, and then they're like, oh no, he sacrificed himself for us, and like there's like a hole in the rock. It's like, and they bury it. Like,
even better, one of the Jedi uses the rock as a shield using the Force.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. The Dark of the Jedi.
Oh, that's what it really is.
That's the sequel.
But yeah, anyway. I was looking up information, and they said that like the middle aged and like the YA stuff aren't, or the middle aged and like the younger stuff aren't really important. They're just small little side stories if you want to read, just get a little bit more context, I guess.
Yeah.
But see, I'm reading that, and I'm also reading one of the comics that are just because it was like $2 on Kindle for an entire volume. So I was like, sure, I'll do it. Why not? Check it out. Yeah, artwork's really good. Actually, I'm impressed.
Good.
Other than that, though, just been not much working that night shift life.
Yeah.
Playing a few games on the computer. Nothing different. Jedi Survivor. I'm in a massive drawing slump right now. I just cannot think of anything to draw. It's throwing me off. Like, I will come and sit down at my desk, pull everything out, go sit to draw, and I'm like, I don't know what to draw. And then I'll look for inspiration. I'm just like, I still don't know what to draw. So, gotta try and get out of that somehow. But
is that why you texted me that one idea?
Well, that was just something I thought about actually while I was reading that YA or that middle-aged novel.
Okay.
So I was like, we could do better than this. And then it was right. It was actually right after I said that was when I started having the slump. I was like, I don't know what to draw. I can't figure anything out. But that's about it for me. What you been up to?
So I've been playing Jedi Survivor. My computer's been struggling a little bit with it, unfortunately, but the last couple times I've played, it's been better. The last 2 planets I went to, I feel like it was better. A little better. Actually, it was kind of rough on... No, that was still Kobo.
Kobo is rough.
Kobo was rough.
Like I went to Jeddah and then the Shattered Moon, and...
Yeah, Jeddah was better, I'm pretty sure. And I enjoyed Jeddah, getting to see... You get to see some characters from the first game, which was heartwarming. Mm-hmm. And he managed to get one to come with him to join back up on the... Which I was like really happy about, because it's a little frustrating in sequels when the crew from the first game is just broken. They did that with Mass Effect, like
yes,
Mass Effect 2. I guess the explanation was what happened to Shepard at the beginning of the game, kind of like some time had went by. So that's a little more justified, but it's still frustrating whenever you have all this like built-in chemistry, built-in like character development and stuff for these characters, and then it's just like, no, let's start over because we want it to be fresh or whatever.
Yeah.
But so anyway, it was good seeing them and getting to them getting to be a part of the story, even if they're not like on the crew with him. And it's giving Cal some good stuff to work through. So I'm enjoying the game a lot. I think from the storytelling perspective, it's doing really well and very interesting. Without getting into spoilers, there was like we talked about this like villain you meet on Kobo. We'll have to see how it all plays out, but
Yeah.
I was a little bummed the direction his character went, like kind of immediately. But definitely interested to see where he goes, and maybe I don't know, maybe he went that direction immediately so that he could swing back the other way. I don't know.
We'll see.
But anyway, besides that, I bought Battlefield 1 because I've been trying to look for a shooter. Just been in the mood to play a good shooter, like with a decent campaign, and so I haven't played much of the Battlefield series, and that's World War I themed, so that's fun. I've enjoyed that. It still hasn't completely scratched the itch though.
Mm-hmm.
Like I enjoyed all the story stuff I've played through so far. I played through about half the story campaign stuff, and it's all been very interesting. You get to play as like a fighter pilot in a bi-wing plane that's like guy that was like impersonating a British like nobleman or somehow. It doesn't really make sense, but you got like a gunner that you form this close connection with. It was really a fun little story with them, and then you're this cool Australian guy who's like a runner, like a message runner or whatever. That's cool playing as an Australian. I don't know. He's like what you would want to if you were playing an Australian soldier, like how you'd want that character to be. I mean, just hardcore F word every other word, and he's got this little like this guy who like lied his way into the war, who's an Australian that he's like trying to take care of and protect him and stuff. The really good storytelling stuff in there, but
I didn't know that one had a story.
It does. Yeah, it has. Yeah, if you have it, right?
I do. I do.
Yeah, if you check out the, it's worth checking out the story missions. They're fun. The characters are just like very. It's not just like a lot of shooters are just kind of like you're this faceless hero. It's not like that.
You know what? I will go to my grave defending as a good story for a first-person shooter game.
What?
The original Modern Warfare 1 through 3.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever played it. It's the trilogy.
I don't know if I played 3. I played 1 and 2.
They were so good.
Was
and
the same character throughout the whole thing?
No, you play the same character, but the same characters are in it.
Okay.
And the ending is just so satisfying, the way it ends. But that was one of those stories where like playing through, you're like you actually get attached to the characters, and like when things happen to them, you're like,
right.
It was. I will go down to my grave defending those 3 games as actual good stories.
I remember Price. Was it Captain Price? With
Captain Price.
Awesome handlebar mustache, like smoking a cigar on the helicopter. Like that was in the first game.
Then you have Soap McTavish. He's the guy you play as the first game.
He's the American, right?
Maybe
or
SAS.
Is he SS?
He may be SAS.
SAS, no. SAS.
And then you have him in the first. He's who he plays in the first game. He's in the second game.
Okay. Oh, I think I remember.
Price is in all 3.
Yeah, I'm starting to remember stuff.
Yeah, Price is in all 3.
I need to see if I've played the third one, because if not, I need to go back and play it.
Yeah, those are some good games.
Because I was definitely a fan of them.
The second one was really good.
Yeah,
with Shepard.
I remember the second one, like mind-blowing, like betrayal in that game.
Yes.
Like whoa, this is like some really hardcore.
That was
political statement here.
Was it Modern Warfare 2?
I think it was the second one.
I think it was Modern Warfare 2 was like the first time we really had
Oh, there was a really
like that's the first time in like a game like that where you had like a real, not the first, I'm sure it's not the first time, but like the first time that I can remember where like you had a pretty widely loved franchise have a very controversial level to the point where you could turn it off. Like you could have it where the game would kind of skip that level playing it.
Was that the like shooting?
That was
where you were like undercover and
no Russian.
Yeah. You didn't have to participate. Like you didn't have to pull the trigger, but you were just like watching a bunch of people get mowed down. Yeah.
I think you were asked if you wanted to turn it off. Like you'd not play that level, I'm pretty sure too.
Yeah, I wonder if that was after the fact.
And that became a thing on all the Call of Duty games where you can they offer for you to turn off certain things, like graphic wise. But I know that was very controversial.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a pretty mind blowing.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So all of a sudden you're just like, holy crap.
Right.
But that's why the third one's so great because it ends so well.
Nice.
Just a great way to end the campaign. Yeah, if you never played it, you should definitely play it.
Check it out. But besides that, not much. I just got the leatherbound for the second Secret Project.
Oh, nice. I won't mind to send.
I won't say the title in case someone's listening who's still waiting to know.
It's been sent out at this point.
You're right. You're right.
At this point, even Sanderson's not even doing it anymore.
Yeah, the Frugal Wizard Handbook for Surviving Medieval England.
Mm-hmm.
I read like the opening chapter to Aaron, or part of the opening chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it, because it's just so fun. It's first person and it's very fast paced.
It's a very fun book. Have you listened to it or read it yet?
I read a good number of the sample chapters back when they were out, but I haven't read it.
That one's it was very fun. It was just a very fun
I definitely didn't get to the point where I knew his name or anything like that. I got to the point where he's like figured out there's some people after him.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's it for me. Besides watching this movie.
Oh yes, Voyage of the Dawn Treader. We've read the book, now we've watched the movie.
Might as well keep, ruminating.
We're going to milk this one story for as much as we can.
2 episodes covering the book and now covering the movie.
3 episodes covering, what? We're going to talk about the first 10 minutes of this movie.
Oh, yes. We'll stretch this for... There's so much to dissect here.
Oh, yes. But we'll be back. We're going to come back with a little drink and then...
We'll talk about it. And while you're during this break, feel free to go watch the entire movie and then come back and listen,
Enjoy it.
All right, we'll be back.
Bum, bum, bum.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't pour myself enough.
We have some banana pudding moonshine. But don't worry, this was not made in the bathtub.
Sadly.
This is respectable moonshine. Yeah,
we're coming at you today with some banana pudding moonshine. I do not remember the name of...
it's just... you don't brand moonshine.
You're right, that's all it is. Just
it's
banana
moonshine.
Banana pudding.
Pudding.
I just mixed a moonshine and pudding for a minute there. Banana moonshine... Banana pudding moonshine, my goodness. I am stroking out over here. Haven't even had a sip yet.
Let's just get some in our mouths. Just like Mama used to make.
It's got the same burn. Oh, no, this stuff's good. It's like extraordinarily dangerous. Because it doesn't really taste like alcohol very much. I just got like a hint of like that. It does have a little bit of that burn like kick to it.
Very subtle,
but it's very subtle. It's just enough to know that there's alcohol in it, but it's super subtle. But it's like 40% or something.
So, don't get a lot. Like, don't put a lot in your glass, or you'll just. Yeah, I didn't put a lot. It's not a lot. Maybe for me. We'll see.
I didn't put a lot in mine.
Let's see. Don't pour it on my laptop. Oh, yeah.
Your laptop wanted some. No, good stuff.
It is good.
This is kind of a last minute drink.
This was in his fridge.
This was in my fridge.
But I'm actually glad. I'm kind of glad because this is good.
Yeah, I like this stuff. Yeah, we
Like-
definitely recommend this stuff. If you like banana pudding, if you don't like banana pudding, you're gonna really not like it because it does.
guess.
It tastes like banana pudding.
Yeah.
You're
That's true.
drinking. It's very. If you don't like cream either, it's very creamy. But they have other flavors. They have like apple pie. They've got. I think I saw a cherry once. They've got butter pecan.
Yeah. And they're all very similar, like
Yeah.
in terms of just they just taste really good and just very subtle on the alcohol. So drink responsibly. Know your limits.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your body.
Know your limits, folks. You heard it here first.
Listen to your body. You heard it here first.
Listen to your body. Body knows best.
All right. Well, now to the main event
The Dawn Shredder.
and the voyage of it. I don't know what to name this episode because
I can't wait. I can't wait to figure it
I've
out.
done different versions of Voyage of the Dawn Treader names. Anyway,
I think we can figure this one out. We can figure it out. We read the book. Did a couple episodes on that. If you haven't listened to them, go listen to the last two. We decided to go ahead and watch the movie because there's
right.
a Voyage of the Dawn Treader movie,
why not?
which
It's the last one they made.
I know, which I watched. I realized I watched as a kid when it came out in theaters, but I never saw Prince Caspian. I've seen The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I've seen Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
still haven't
I
seen
never
it?
saw Prince Caspian. Mm-mm.
It's Prince Caspian is very different from the book. I'd say, in some ways, more different than this movie. This movie has like everything just about, but it's just in a weird order.
Yeah.
And then they threw in,
A
you
whole
know,
subplot.
they threw in like
Well, I guess it's not really a subplot. It's like became the whole plot.
they just like added an element to try and tie all the islands together, like tie what's all the
Mm-hmm.
different temptations and stuff together. But Prince Caspian, they were just trying to still do like the big blockbuster, like we have to have a huge battle scene, like multiple huge battle scenes, and
I'll have to check it out. I haven't watched it. Anyway, this movie.
back to this movie.
Initial thoughts overall. Like, what did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy it?
I
Did
don't
you
know.
hate it?
Kind of a mixed bag. I mean, I feel like I probably enjoyed it more not having read the book, because I'm thinking about the things they changed and the way the tone feels different and stuff like that. And the way the things they added changes certain things from being, less about adventure and like bravery and more about like survival, so I feel like definitely some of the changes they made, it takes away stuff from the book, but I also think a lot of the changes they made are understandable and like make sense for adapting it into a movie, so I mean, I don't hate it as a movie. I mean, like I definitely had some heartwarming moments in it, Reaper Cheap was like just awesome. They did a pretty good job with him, I'd say. What about you?
Yeah, about the same. I was definitely to say that Reaper Cheap makes the movie. I mean, he is consistently the best character, both in my opinion, both the book and the movie. He's been the best character. He was the best character. I enjoyed it. It was just fun to watch. But the biggest thing for me was it just seemed very low budget.
Kind of was.
But like even Steph, like she was out on the couch at one point, and she like looks up, she goes, "What are they like? Those costumes look like they're like $2." Like the costume design was just. Okay. But when she said, I was like, the costume design does seem really cheap.
Yeah,
and I get it. It probably was a low budget, and that's fine. And it didn't, in my opinion, it didn't take away from the movie. But it is something that I noticed is like like Prince Caspian's like outfits at times like did look very low budget.
Yeah,
very like fake.
There was apparently what's interesting about this movie is this movie didn't get made. Disney financed the first two, and the first movie did great at the box office. Second movie did not do as well. Well, it did. It did like about barely 50% of what the first movie did. It did a little more than that. So they weren't going to finance any more Narnia movies. They allowed Fox to work with Walden Media.
Interesting.
So the fund. So it was. I do think it had a lower budget.
That's fair. Yeah, but like I said, it doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't really take away from it. It's just something that, like, it was when Steph mentioned it, I was like, you know what, it is
Lower production value.
It does seem lower production, low budget.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. I will say what it did make me want is I would just love a TV show or movie that takes place at the end of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, when Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy are growing up, and their time growing into adults in Narnia.
Just about their time as kings and queens in
Because Narnia is a really cool land.
Yeah.
And cool fantasy land. And it would be really cool just because that story has obviously not been told, and C.S. Lewis has passed away. It'd be cool to have that and like make it more like a nittier, grittier, darker, instead of like a kid's thing, you know? I think it could be cool.
Yeah.
That's what for some reason that's what watch this movie made me think of. But yeah, Reaper Cheap nailed it in this. The other characters were not bad. I wouldn't say they're bad. Eustace was very well done, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I think you said it. You texted me at the same time that I was thinking it while watching the movie. Was that they really play into Eustace being annoying in this movie?
I'd say, yeah, it's insufferable.
Insufferable, yes.
Like the guy, which interesting enough, he was this guy is Will Poulter. He was just in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But he's
good actor.
He's actually he's been had a good career since this movie. But yeah, he's very just the way he talks is annoying. He just
insufferable is the best word.
And he's a little more self-aware. I feel like actually the way he's portrayed, he's a little more aware of himself and aware of like how he should appear to everyone else. In the book, he's a little more like just everything and everyone is so unreasonable but like in the movie, he's a little more like when he has whenever him and Reepicheep fight, he like handles it better in the movie than he did in the book. Because he's like kind of aware of like the way it's being viewed by everybody else, you know. But I thought he did well and was a well realized character, and his character arc I think was pretty good in the movie.
Quite a bit changed in the book, and not that they necessarily got rid of it. Some things they did, but they definitely changed a lot of what happened. And how things go down. Right. Even kind of the overarching plot gets changed.
Well, like the book doesn't have a villain.
An antagonist.
You know, it's
other than our own faults.
Right. In the book there's a mission. You know, it's to find the seven lords, and in the course of that, they're coming across different challenges, you know, that there are antagonists, you know, but there's not a singular enemy, singular force of evil like there are in many many movies. Like every movie has a antagonist, or not every,
even in like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and
you've got the White Witch, Prince Caspian, you've got the evil king.
This book didn't have that. It was just you have this journey, this adventure, you have a mission, as you said, but there's not necessarily an antagonist, right? And so that doesn't play well to movies usually.
Yeah, at least the, you know, conventional wisdom of making movies, especially fantasy, and like trying to find the blockbuster, what's the blockbuster formula, you know, seems like they were searching for that, and so they tried to figure out how they could do that, and they identified the Dark Island as, you know, making that sort of a source of temptation and evil that was kind of out there. I feel like that's one of the weakest parts of the movie to me. Agreed. It's very thin.
Agreed.
It's very thin. I mean,
well, I also feel it kind of takes away from the point that Lewis is making in the book, which is we have our own temptation within us and our own faults within us that we have to battle back against, and they kind of personified it in this mist, taking away from It's not them that's doing it. It's the mist that's kind of driving them. And they
Yeah.
I think Lucy even says at one point when Caspian and Edmund are fighting, she's just like, this isn't us. This is the mist playing with your emotions and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And it kind of takes away from what Lewis is kind of getting at, which is trying to overcome your own faults and your own sins.
Yeah.
Not that it's like it made for a bad movie, but I agree it's kind of the weakest point, and it definitely takes away from what Lewis is getting at.
I feel like it takes away from the wonder and like the mystical nature of these islands, because you have like in the book when they go to the island where there's the pond that, or whatever it is, the lake that turns things into gold, and they start to fight about it. Whenever they realize that, oh man, we could be rich, and whoever knows about this could be rich, and so Caspian like freaks out, it's like swears everyone to secrecy, and then Edmund is kind of like pushing back on him and stuff. In the book, you've got Reepicheep there, which is not in there in the movie, and kind of like trying to get their attention, and they kind of realize there's something going on here with this island. It's something mystical here. And then when they get back to the ship, they can't even remember what happened. And that, whenever you have these unexplained things, it kind of enhances the wonder, And so that's, I feel like having to have an explanation for why there's all these temptations out there just took away from the wonder a little bit.
I agree. Yeah.
But that's what they use to kind of like drive the story forward. They also gave Edmund a much more realized plot line, like character arc. Because like in the book, he doesn't really have his like.
He's kind of just there.
He doesn't have a character arc. I mean, he's on the adventure and he's a part of it, and he's taking part. And
he kind of had his character arc in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
right?
though.
But they kind of like he's who he is, and then.
That's what's
in the movie. It was more like
dealing back with the White Witch again.
Well, the White Witch, and also like, the White Witch. The image he's seeing is her tempting him to be. You can have what you didn't get because you are in Peter's shadow.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of insecurity about Peter still, and maybe that sometimes that gets directed at Caspian because he is the king and stuff.
I don't know. I feel like it kind of took away from Edmund's growth in the first. At least for the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Because he already fought back against that temptation, and he already was, in a sense, saved by Aslan.
Right.
And to now have him just fall back into it, and like to the point where he's now fighting Caspian at that one point. And it was just, I get it. They got to give every character kind of like a plot point, but like.
I feel like I guess it's because Edmund's there, and because he's a character we know that they're like, what's his character motivation. I think also maybe some of it came from the Prince Caspian movie. Prince Caspian movie was marketed really heavily about Caspian, which was a new character no one had seen before. And as Pevensey kids, we're very big in the first movie.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if they were like, no, we can't sideline Edmund in this movie and just like focus on Caspian. But I think that from the storytelling perspective, it would have made sense to make Caspian more of the character that needed to grow. And I mean, they did do that with him. They did give him some character growth, but it was kind of it was very subtle.
And even then, it was just like the end, like the way they ended with Caspian. I liked the way the book did it far more than the movie, where the movie has him going all the way to the end of the world, to Aslan's country, and then him deciding, I need to turn around and asking Aslan, hopefully I can be a better king. And Aslan's like, you already are. I liked it better where there was actual conflict. There was conflict there, and he was told no, and then he was almost rebuked by Aslan. It gave him more character.
Right. That's the thing you see in the book a lot is characters, they're not just being tempted and then overcoming it, but being tempted, kind of failing and being like rebuked and like by trained, given some discipline actually about it. In the movie, like watching the movie, I didn't hate seeing Edmund get to, have like some big moments and like overcome something like the character in the movie. But in terms of like thinking of the books and thinking of the overall series. You know, it just didn't seem to serve things as well, you know? But what do you think about Lucy, what they did with Lucy?
I did like the point when she does the spell, and then she has that like weird vision dream where she is Susan.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aslan comes in and they have this conversation. I liked where Aslan said, you know, because I think at one point when she's Susan, she says, "What about Narnia? What about Aslan?" Yada, yada. And they say, "What do you talk about?" And Aslan talking, goes, "You're the one who showed them Narnia." I liked that. I liked that little aspect. I like that point, and I feel like that kind of hits home to a little bit of Lewis's belief of like, you know, we believe in evangelism and stuff like that, and that's almost similar to like Lucy without you being used, you know.
Right, they never would have met
me. They never would have met me.
Right.
You know, I think that's you know, I liked it because I don't think that was in the book. Because I think her biggest temptation was that, but then where Aslan really rebuked her was when she started listening to her friends talk in the book.
Right. It was a more like specific kind of like moral about, you know, listening in and like listening in on things you shouldn't be listening in on. But in the movie, the explanation was more of like, you're valuable as a person, you know, like you have lots of different ways you're valuable as a person beyond wanting to be just like someone else, you know. And
then she even has her cute little moment with the kid who's like, "I want to be just like you when I grow up." And she's like, "You're going to be just like you."
Right.
You know, nice little growth. It was nice. I enjoyed her story.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty good too, for the most part.
I liked I did like Eustace. I liked him, specifically him being a dragon longer. Mm-hmm. I liked how they utilized him as a dragon longer, where he actually gets utilized throughout when he becomes a dragon, he gets utilized throughout the rest of the movie as a dragon and has to help fight. And then, you know, you get to see the relationship between him and Reepicheep grow that way.
Yeah.
And Reepicheep just continues to have phenomenal lines about bravery and we don't run. And
yeah. I think that in the movie, the Reepicheep and Eustace, their relationship is much more pronounced. You know, they kind of become buddies, you know, in the movie. You know, whenever Eustace is crying, Reepicheep kind of like sees him crying and tries to encourage him, and then he rides around on him and stuff. So I mean,
they fly into battle together,
and even then the Dark Island. That was one thing. So that's one thing about the Dark Island I did like is and maybe it's similar to the thing with Eustace as a dragon, is that, you know, in the book these things, like, you don't fully get the satisfaction of like the seeing these things play out. Like, he becomes a dragon on that island in the book, and the problem is, how are we gonna bring him with us? And so he has to turn back into a boy before they leave the island. So you don't really get to see. I mean, like, Lewis has like a little montage talking about how he would be helpful and stuff as a dragon, which they show that very well in the movie. But then they actually still have him able to fly out on the ocean, and, you know.
They show him helpful in different ways, as like, you know, he starts pulling the boat at one point, which was cool. And then, like I said, his bravery of going in and fighting the serpent, you know, he showed himself to be brave. Right. You know, even to the point of getting beaten and battered and tossed out. Right. You know, and that's, of course, when Aslan shows up and rips the skin off. And
right. And I liked that in how they had the Dark Island. Like, I didn't necessarily like the Dark Island being like the main antagonist, but I liked that we got to see an implication of that, because in the book, they get into the Dark Island, they find the Lord, and then they're like freaking out, and then they're kind of hearing stuff happen, like stuff crawling maybe in the boat, up the boat side of the boat or something like that. But you never actually see anything. They never have to fight anything. They, you know what I mean? They just row their way out. And so even though you get this cool idea of like, this thing makes your dreams come true, you never see that really in the book, how that, like, what that could mean. But in the movie, you do get to see that when Edmund's like, oh no. Yeah. Like, what did you just think of? So I did like to see that. And then got the payoff of having Eustace still be a dragon, is you could see a dragon fight a huge serpent thing, which was, that was actually like a very satisfying battle, I thought.
Very much so. And it was cool, although slight plot point of, I guess it's Aslan's doing, but like him showing back up as a boy on the island with the sword.
Right.
I know he had the sword and shoulder,
Just
but
magically.
like, come on, what's going on here? How did he get here?
Right.
But it's magic.
It's magic. I wish they had done you did get an explanation. I'm glad that they put the explanation whenever they're in the boat and they're rowing later on. With the they're like in the lilies, the part of the and Eustace talks about like what was happening, like what happened whenever Aslan was helping you turn back into a boy. But at the same point, like the actual execution earlier in the film of it was a little, because it was in the middle of a battle. Like it was just so rushed and oddly, I guess the idea in the movie was that Aslan was helping him at that moment because he was like helping them.
That's how he's going to help them
like break the curse or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't love that. It just like this random sandbar and.
Yeah, like where'd the sandbar come from?
Sandbar is just there, and then Aslan's just like starts. There's like there's like very little interaction. He's like Eustace like scratches at his skin like twice.
Yeah, they do. If you hadn't read the book, you would be very confused as to what he's doing with the dragon's skin, like why he's trying to scratch. Like you'd be confused right there, and then
Right in the book, he like takes off the dragon's skin multiple times, and it keeps like
growing back, which would be probably visually unappealing to a lot of kids, so I get why they didn't do it, but
yeah. Well, and probably budget-wise, it'd probably be a more expensive shot. But just not what I envisioned,
For sure.
But in the way the movie's constructed, it makes sense to have Eustace like somehow a part of they're trying to make everything happen at the same time. Like they're what they're doing matters, they're beating the thing, but then at the same time Eustace does the thing right in time. So that I didn't understand though Edmund's sword
why just starts
glowing. Like it was Peter's sword, right?
Just to visually show, I think it was just a visual tell of.
But why Peter's sword?
Because Peter's a high king now. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was thinking. But it's never explained. Like
no,
Peter's sword was an important thing.
I think that was just a movie thing of just we're visually telling you that things are happening.
Yeah,
there's not like a lore explanation. It just is.
Going back to Reepicheep and Eustace and their relationship, like their first interaction, whenever he's like stealing the orange. That was like the moment when I was watching the movie that I was like kind of getting on board with it, because it was just, it felt like the book,
Yes.
And seeing Reepicheep like just outdo him completely was really satisfying and everything. And then it helps with the ending of the movie too. That very well acted on the part of the character playing Eustace has like a heartfelt moment with Reepicheep, So when the battle ends, they're just kind of like, look, Aslan's country.
Look, the water's sweet.
Yeah.
Because Eustace is once again somehow he's now swimming next to the boat. So he was on the island. Now he's next to the boat.
Right? How was he in the water?
That was a major plot hole. I'm like, okay, hold up.
I forgot.
You had me. I was able to manage.
I thought I missed something.
I know. I'm able to handle the him being on the island and Aslan's magic, but now he's just swimming by the boat. He didn't swim all this way. There's no way, unless the island's like 2 feet away.
Right. Right, because the other island, they had to sail to the Dark Island pretty far.
Yep. So that threw me off, but that being said,
something got missed there.
Then Reepicheep jumps in. He's all excited because Eustace is alive and he's a boy again, and then they're like, he starts singing his thing, and then Eustace is like, wait a minute, the water's sweet, and then they look over like the lilies, and they're like, oh, okay, well, see, I was kind of hoping that we would get that, but budget wise, I'm sure I understand, but like the cool visual of the kingdom under the sea with the mer people, and
right.
It would have been cool.
Like that would have been, especially considering, and I guess they didn't know it was going to be the last movie made, but considering this is the last movie we got of Narnia, it would have been really cool to just take 10 minutes and just let us have this journey.
Yeah.
It's just the adventure of finding Aslan's country, of just like seeing all these different cool things, experiencing the water being sweet, you know, experiencing that they can see the look at the sun more easily and things like that. Just all those fun things at the end of the book. And then even like I was thinking about this too. It's hard, as well realized as Reepicheep is in the movie, that iconic line about him, you know, talking about when I'll sail east as far as the Dawn Treader can take me. When she fails, I'll ride in the boat. When it fails, I'll swim in my coracle. Whenever it fails, I'll paddle with my four paws. And like just like his determination to get to Aslan's country. And once again, the wonder of it and the mystery of if he'll even make it, and if he even did make it, you know, versus the way the movie did it, where it's just like we're already there, we're all getting up out of the water on this beach,
and then
Aslan just explains it all to us.
And it's not even just like a just Reepicheep is going to. It's, you know, Aslan basically gave the choice up to Prince Caspian, to everyone, and it's just like, hold up, like this is you know, like Prince Caspian made the choice not to go, and I don't know, like once again, I think it took away a little bit from his character. Yeah, I don't know. Well, he asked, like, is my dad in there? And he goes, you have to find that. Aslan's like, you have to find that out on your own. Mm-hmm. Just leaves him open to be able to go in, and it's just like, I don't know. I liked it better when you rebuked him.
Right. Well, yeah, it's like, no, like he can't go. Like, why are you leaving it open? And why is everyone? And then Edmund's like, you're not going? Like, Edmund's confused why he didn't go.
Yeah.
But, you know, Edmund in the book knew that he couldn't go. Like, the geopolitical, balance of the world of Narnia depended on, you know, him, like, getting a wife. Like, that was a big thing, too, is that he needed to, you know, have kids and stuff. Just not well thought out ending.
Lucy, at the end there, goes, we're not coming back to Narnia, are we? In the book, Aslan's like, this is your last journey here, I'm pretty sure. And then they're very upset about it. This time they're like, we're not coming back. And they're like, and then even Edmund's like, we're growing up, you know? Where in the book, it's not like that. They're like, no, we don't want to leave, blah, 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 you know, all these different things. And I don't know, it just felt weird with them being like, okay, well, it's just not coming back to Narnia and to see Aslan. Yeah. I like that they kept in the movie I'm known as a different name. Right. You know, I was worried they were going to take that out. Yeah, they had that quote pretty in full there. I mean, that's the most, that end part of the book is There's a few. Reepicheep had a couple good lines too. Like, I know in the beginning, I think Lucy asks Reepicheep, you know, do you even believe in Aslan's country? And I think I wrote it down. Oh yeah, he says belief is all we have. Nothing if not belief. Yeah, I liked that quote. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, it was a good one. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, yeah, it really wasn't. I mean, that ending was the biggest part where you're like, okay, this is a Lewis book, C.S. Lewis book, and this is what this is talking about. But I was glad they had that in there as well. They didn't have the sheep. Nope. Giving them the fish, but that's okay. Baby steps. Yeah. I did like the imagery of them coming back, though, even though it was different than the book. Yeah. I like the imagery of them being underwater. The imagery of them coming back and getting into the world was cool. Like picking up the painting and it's like pouring water into the room. And then, but it all gets sucked back into the painting, and then it's like, and Eustace just hangs it back up. And they're like their clothes are like dry. They're like sitting in the water, and then the clothes are dry. Yeah, that was cool. And then there was a little Easter egg. His mom is saying something about your friend Jill Pole is here to play with you. Jill Pole and Eustace are the main characters in the next book. And Silver Chair. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Is that the next book? Yeah. Silver Chair is the next canonical exciting book. Exciting. So that'll be next episode. Yeah. Part 1, Silver Chair. And now we're getting to the point where I know absolutely zero about these books because there's not even movies about them. Same here. I'm very excited actually about that. I think that, you know, and that's one thing that I think we're going to see is the story of the books is less about the characters that are the viewpoint, and it's more about the world. Mm-hmm. Narnia is like, I think, getting
it's like building, because it's building towards this very climactic
The final battle.
final book. So I think we're going to start to see things moving in a like crescendo building direction.
Yeah.
From here on out in the books. But anyway, so what do you? I don't know how do we like rate or wrap up our thoughts on the movie or movies or
Good movie. Not great, but good.
good, not great.
No, it was a good movie. Different than the book. I think I understand why it didn't do so great for the people who read the book.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't in general. It's not a bad movie. Like I would watch it again.
Yeah.
I won't like not right now, but like at one point.
My feeling, it was like at the end is like I just feel like it needs someone who believes in the material,
Yes.
like really just believes in, loves the material, and is also good at directing and stuff. Yeah. Like just I've seen so many like great adaptations of things where element of the recipe of the success, like Dune, is this person loved
Yes.
and understood and like, and leaned into it. You don't have to fully understand, how it's going to work, but if you lean into the material, then it should work itself out, because these books have appealed to people for decades.
Absolutely.
Netflix was talking about doing a TV show series, or movies and TV shows or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with
but
that.
I haven't heard anything. I think there was talking about it before the pandemic, and I don't know if that derailed things.
It
but
might have.
I think this it could definitely benefit from being on a streaming platform, either movies or a show.
I think in general at this point, these type of things, just most books just transfer better into a show than a movie.
Yeah.
And definitely on a streaming service instead of like in like large theaters. Because I think large theaters are expecting too much people to go to the box office. I think just this day and age, it's just not happening.
Right. Yeah.
And but I definitely think for books in general, I think TV shows are where it's going to a lot of these books, because books are just have so much in them. And you can do so much more with a TV show.
Yeah.
You can slow down and focus on the beats of the book.
Well, the books are short, so I mean, and people love the streaming services seem to love short seasons.
Series.
So you could definitely very easily do an 8-episode season of one of these books and not really have to cut much at all.
Like this one would have been perfect. Just eight episodes, seven islands or six islands, and then you have that last little bit of the thing.
Absolutely.
Your journey to, you can get a little bit more. Put a couple different things in there to make it a little bit more adventure. I don't know, like some different conflicts in some episodes.
Yeah,
like maybe like in the last episode. But like I don't know.
Just lean into the character, like. The character stuff, you can amplify those things. I mean, you don't have to just do it exactly how it's done in the book. You can amplify Prince Caspian's issues with like completely committing to being the king of Narnia, being completely on board with that. That's something that a show could really lean into and make that a big character journey for him, anyway.
Well,
yeah.
Next week will be the Silver Chair.
Should be good.
I'm excited to go more into these, continue these books.
Me too.
We're really getting into having no clue what's going on now.
That's right. Well, thank you for listening to the Bridge of Two podcast. Oh no. I messed it up.
This has been the Bridge of Two podcast. A far, far away bridge.
I didn't know what was going on that time. This is a test of the broadcast system.
Whoa.
The emergency broadcast system.
Whoa, jeez.
It's being tested.
No.
Can you hear?
We're not testing an emergency broadcast system.
Can you hear the emergency broadcast system?
This is not an emergency.
Press 1 for yes.
This is not an emergency.
Press 2 for no. Press 3 if you are deaf.
Oddly enough, we got a lot of 3s.
Trolls.
All of them. All of them trolls.